doing remote viewing and telepathy type stuff, they inadvertently also ran into these other strange phenomena like UFOs and strange like portal entity type things coming and going in certain locations. And so some of these private contractors started buying up these properties and locations and running government research grants and projects trying to see what was really there.
All right, guys, got a fun episode today. We got Carl Crusher here today. We're talking skinwalkers, UFOs, and who knows what else. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to the Skinwalker Ranch twice a year, you said?
A few times a year. Yeah. Just whenever there's stuff going on, like I'm going up in a couple of weeks. Actually, next week, they're going to be filming a bunch of experiments and research things. So my role is kind of unique. I'm the only person partnered with the History Channel that's allowed to film any of the behind the scenes stuff. So they fully trust me to kind of film everything going on around. So I'll kind of be lurking around Vernal, going up to ancient petroglyph sites and around the reservation land around Skinwalker Ranch. So while they're doing experiments, I'm trying to like see what else is happening.
Yeah. So for those that don't know what Skinwalker Ranch is, what exactly happened there?
So it's the longest known like government research location in the United States where they've been looking for paranormal activity and trying to see if it ties in with the UFO phenomena. There's been these secret reverse engineering programs and UFO recovery programs, and a lot of people don't realize that it involves a whole spectrum of like remote viewing and psychic spy stuff that was going on, and a lot of different unique stuff. And one of the key locations was in Utah. So when they started doing this psychic spying against like Russia and Cuba, doing remote viewing and telepathy type stuff, they inadvertently also ran into these other strange phenomena like UFOs and strange like portal entity type things coming and going in certain locations. And so some of these private contractors started buying up these properties and locations and running government research grants and projects trying to see what was really there.
Interesting.
And a lot of these properties still exist and their breadcrumb trails are all over the place.
Wow.
And so I have fun going back and trying to see what's real and what's not.
That sounds real fun. So that might be where the Gateway Project was then.
Yeah, some of the people that were involved in the Gateway remote viewing, out-of-body travel stuff, like one of the founders of those programs, a guy named Hal Putoff, he's been to a couple of the locations that I research heavily, one in Nevada, that's just north of Area 51. I had some whistleblowers leak photographs of him and other people from that psychic spy team. And they were doing, both remote viewing at Stanford Research Institute, but also at the Monroe Institute where they did the Gateway method. So, So I do a lot of the Gateway stuff and remote viewing as well. But I actually go there because I'm also like a content creator.
Yeah.
I'm a YouTuber. So I have this ability to go with just my cell phone and go there in person and actually see what's there instead of just like watch on TV.
That's cool. I got invited to the Monroe Institute to learn it. I'm a little nervous.
Just this recent last trip?
Yeah, I didn't go. Were you there?
I got invited too and couldn't go either.
I didn't go. But next one I'm going.
Okay, well maybe I'll be there with you.
I mean, I heard they saw some orbs and stuff, so
I believe
I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, the whole contact protocol is an interesting thing. Is this connection between human consciousness and the phenomena, this ability to sort of tune your mind and consciousness through versions of meditation and kind of tuning into these alternate dimensions of reality. And then you can attract certain phenomena or sort of, conjure it to show up. And then when you can actually measure that with scientific equipment, with either capture it on night vision cameras or record it with infrasound or gamma detectors, different things like that. Like I actually have a sensor in my house that was built by an engineer and a physicist that worked at Skinwalker Ranch, and it live tracks everything that happens in my house, even when I'm there or not there.
You serious?
Yeah, so that like if something happens or that hitchhiker phenomena occurs, we can capture the data.
Interesting.
I can tell when things are happening or I see something, and then we can actually log the data, and sometimes it goes like all the way back to DC.
Holy crap. So you've caught stuff in your house?
Yeah.
What have you seen?
So a lot of it's just like strange, what people would consider like sleep paralysis or out-of-body travel incidents that are strange. Like I'll go to bed at night and then feel like my whole bed is vibrating, or like almost like there's a train going underground underneath the bed. And then I'll be trying to wake up and kind of stuck in between being awake and asleep. I'm aware of the room around me, but I can't quite pull out of it. Like I'm in this halfway in between state. And then suddenly it's like I'm floating above my own body, looking down, almost like an out-of-body near-death experience. Or sometimes I'm in another part of the house and there's, other entities there. There's other figures or strange things around.
Wow.
And then that can transform. Before it used to just be terrifying. Growing up, it would be just like a scary nightmare that I couldn't get out of. But as I've gotten older and kind of trained and done the work, I'm more comfortable with those types of experiences. That's why they call it like the Gateway Institute or Gateway Program.
Right.
Because you learn how to like step through those doorways, almost like Doctor Strange in the Marvel movies, and explore the past or the future or other things that you can draw information from.
So you could go back and forth in time?
Yeah, I think that's what explains a lot of these like ancient esoteric cultures and mystic like rituals and wisdom ways that they used to have in a lot of these indigenous cultures that are present at these places like Skinwalker Ranch. They call it Skinwalker Ranch because of its connection with the Native Americans and the ancient rituals that used to go on there. And a lot of people don't know those were all involving like time travel rituals that the shaman would do.
Wow.
They would build these stone circles and chant and walk in these, do these dances around these stone circles. And the shaman would time travel in and out into the past or the future. And whether that was real or whether it was psychically, my experiences have been more,
visual,
through consciousness. Through the dreams and the visionary experiences. And sometimes you have them even when you're awake. You go to an ancient petroglyph site and do the meditation protocol, and it's like stepping through a doorway into perceiving, a glimpse of the past or the future, or maybe even a parallel dimension right there.
That is awesome.
And then you look up at the ancient petroglyphs, and it kind of makes sense what's going on.
That is cool. Yeah, I'm going to Egypt with Billy Carson in a few months, so
Nice.
I'm hoping to have a pretty cool experience there.
Yeah, he should be able to get you in all over. People have the impression that you can't get in and look at those places, but you should be able to get in.
He said he's got the plug, man.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
But this is cool though. Stonehenge, that means that could have been a portal, right?
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. They have all these false doorways and these geomancy circles where ancient people were tapping into the electromagnetic field of the earth and that connection with the earth through the cosmos and the whole solar system. And when you go sit in these places that are potent like that, you're taking your antenna or your connection with reality and walking into this field that's amplified, and it can open you up into different experiences and perceptions. And sometimes they come and visit you.
This could have been what Nikola Tesla was onto.
I think so. In fact, a lot of those government programs that developed into what is now Area 51 and a lot of that, when you look at those breadcrumb trails and those reverse engineering programs, they parallel the development of early radar detection systems that Tesla was developing. So it's like as they were trying to figure out during World War II how to see missiles incoming, missile threats, and how to detect airplanes in the sky, they were advancing their radar detection systems. And again, just like the psychic telepathy programs, that technology caught everything else. They also caught the other phenomena coming and going. And
wow.
And originally they called them fast walkers, but they were these orbs of light or UFOs that would go and fly into the ground and disappear, and created this whole branch of secret programs in the government.
That is interesting. So there's probably a spiritual warfare going on right now between governments that we don't even know about.
Yeah, I think whether they call it spiritual or whatever, all of those same individuals that were involved in that, they were heavily involved in like going down to South America and talking to shaman people down there and going into the Paiute and Navajo tribes and trying to talk to the elders there. Like they had the answers. And as much as they were trying to figure it out in their labs with radio frequencies and headsets, they were trying to go down into like the jungles of Peru and Brazil and stuff like that to find out where this was really coming from and what it was all about.
Wow.
So the merging of those two worlds is really fascinating.
Yeah, take some ayahuasca down there.
Yeah. They were all doing that too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you or anyone you know done remote viewing on Area 51 or any hidden locations?
Yeah, one of the research spots that we just filmed with the History Channel for a spinoff show called Beyond Skinwalker Ranch involves a location right next to Area 51 on the north there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ranch called Mount Wilson Ranch, where it was owned over the exact same time period as Skinwalker Ranch, but it was actually kept secret. And there's a lot of remote viewing that I've done around that spot that inadvertently, when there's big secrets or underground things or large facilities like that, like even if I'm remote viewing trying to look for like a cave where there might be Native American artifacts, I'm always pulling back this information of like big underground tunnels or like crazy generators or electrical, and it's like you get pulled into the government facility stuff. But they have these weird defenses too. Like anybody who gets into remote viewing, when you try to remote view those locations, you run into barriers.
Really?
You'll run into almost defense systems.
Holy crap.
Where like one time when I got into it and started remote viewing, it was like I would get pulled into an experience where it felt like I was sitting across a table in a white room with someone with a lab coat, and they're like telling me, "Can you match the colored wires together? Like, match the colored wire with the colored light bulb." And it was like I was being quizzed, and I got real confused what was going on and this information I was getting.
Whoa!
And it was almost like where I was trying to remote view suddenly was doing it back to me and quizzing me back, and that was really weird.
That's crazy.
But people say you get that like when you were trying to remote view the moon and certain places too. Like
really?
There's different defenses there that like psychically guard them.
What do you think the reasoning is for defending the moon from a remote viewing?
There's either facilities up there that they don't want us to know, or it is some kind of other intelligence, another dimensional entity. I know like when even the place in Nevada that I would research in some of these, you try to remote view them there, and all of a sudden it's like you're tumbling into Alice in Wonderland, and it gets very like Native American guardian themed or something, and like, or you're given a warning or something like that.
I wonder how they're able to do that. That's like next level, right?
Yeah. When you think like for a shaman, like I have a friend that lives up kind of by Skinwalker Ranch, and he's a member, he was adopted into the Ute tribe, and he's actually a bird shaman. So for him to like go do a ritual, he will go without food or water for like 5-6 days and just walking in a circle in almost a trance, like outside in the baking hot sun for 5 days straight. So you wonder, like, people that are really devoted to it, like in their life, for them, how connected you can get or how deep you want to go with it. Where for me, I'm kind of just like skimming across the surface and bringing back what I can communicate.
Yeah, that is interesting.
know?
Have you formed a theory on aliens, whether they're like humans or just creatures from another dimension or something?
To me, it's more like a misunderstanding of linear time that we have. I feel like that we experience reality, like everything that we perceive right now in physical reality, especially with our eyesight, is through a very thin paradigm of the colors of the rainbow and those different combinations. And all that has to go through your pupils and then is flipped upside down and processed through the receptors in your brain. And then your consciousness has to witness all of that and interpret it all. And understanding that that's really just a thin spectrum, but there's a reality off the edge of the ultraviolet and the infrared and into the sound and the feeling and these other dimensions that are non-physical that are really infinite. And those other parallel dimensions, I think some of them are more advanced or beyond us, whether that's through ancient methods, esoteric methods, or future technology. So I think aliens are some form of parallel entities or intelligence that have figured that out way ahead of us and are already communicating and traveling that way, or they're really something sort of from the future that is looking back, that maybe is us, that doesn't have any intentions in destroying us or messing with us too much, but they are affected by what we do, so they're involved.
Right, because if they are editing the past, that would affect them, so they probably don't want to really do too much, right?
Right. Like, let's imagine if they've run into certain bottlenecks genetically, and so it's like to their advantage to try and come back, but they're worried the more that they meddle with it, that they just create more problems.
Right. It is fascinating because it seems like certain ancient civilizations were more advanced than us right now.
Right. And if you think of that, like not needing a technology, but jumping past that into just consciousness itself, like where you're, instead of needing computers or some kind of an invention in order to communicate with the past or the future, imagine something has just physically evolved and capable of doing that intrinsically with their own mind, then it's sort of just like we might consider them a higher intelligence or an alien or maybe even a god and build a whole religion around them. You know what I mean?
Facts, yeah. What do you think of these ghost communication devices? Do you think those are legit?
I think they're just kind of like, they are kind of a pseudoscience, but when you have strings of correlative events, like I'm not opposed to it. Like if I'm going to use a spirit box or some kind of a communication device, I'll always double it up with the radiation sensors, infrasound, night vision, and multiple things and extra witnesses so that it's not just the one thing on its own. So like if a voice is coming through, I want to make sure I'm also getting anomalous microwave and gamma wave radiation and capturing all that and then seeing if I get something on night vision so it all overlaps and we can stack that data up. Otherwise, it could just be some glitch coming through. But
yeah, it's interesting because any footage you see of ghosts or aliens is so blurry and it's like kind of looks fake. So I wonder why people struggle to physically capture that.
Yeah, and I think the technology is starting to catch up with it because now, it used to take a lot of really expensive equipment, but I'm right at this threshold where I can carry a lot of really advanced stuff just in my backpack now and do a lot of this filming in HD just right off my phone. And there's apps, to where I can do flight trackers and see if it's a plane or something that's not supposed to be there and even see what constellations are, all, augmented reality. So the technology that you can run right through like an iPhone or just little handheld devices is really, really amazing. Where you used to have to have like a whole truckload of stuff.
All the ghost shows.
Yeah, you can go up in a canyon now. I do everything alone just with a selfie stick in my backpack. I don't take anybody. Yeah,
Has there been anything that really spooked you that you caught on your camera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've straight up caught weird anomalies on thermal imager where it has like a backwards thermal image where it straight up looks like a figure stepping into the hallway and then disappearing again.
Wow.
But what's supposed to be a heat signature where their face and hands is just like a black void, like a cold signature. So the thermal signal is inverted for some reason where the figure is.
We got to throw up a photo of that. That's creepy.
Yeah, I got some video of that. And then just other strange anomalies in the sky. Just recently, I've been researching this spot in southern Utah that I nicknamed the Magic Mesa to kind of hide where it's at. But there's these phenomena of lights that appear on the side of the mountain that you can actually talk to and say, like, I can say, will you appear as a triangle? And these lights will show up like a triangle and then change into geometric shapes, like these phantom ghost lights. And I've filmed strange, what look like UFOs fly overhead and shift directions and fly off and capture all that. But again, you have to have like the stacked data and keep going and going and going and get it. Otherwise, people just glaze right over it.
Well, there's studies being done on people talking to plants and them actually responding. So there's something there, right? Yeah,
I mean, they're even finding now that even though like trees and plants, they don't have eyes like we do, they do have photoreceptors and they definitely have their own version of seeing. Like they know when you're there and they see like when you're around and they even know probably what color you're wearing and stuff, but they don't necessarily have eyes. So that's one of those things of like a dimension of reality that they exist in that it's hard for us to even comprehend.
I've met someone that can make trees move their branches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, so you stretch that out like up into the cosmos, and that's kind of what these contact modalities are, where you're like CE5 is a method that Stephen Greer came up with, where it's like a meditation where you're sort of trying to make contact and let entities know where you're at, and then these orbs appear in the sky and fly around, and there's a few different versions of that floating around right now that people do.
Wow. One of your videos on Rumble I saw called Psychic Witches Perform Conjuring Seance. That sounds intense, man. What happened there?
Yeah, that was a weird one. So I just happened to be home and got a phone call that the spot that I was researching by Area 51, that this group of ladies had shown up and they were planning on doing a seance. Like they wanted to go in the diner and do a whole like witch ceremony thing where they were going to try and conjure a spirit. So I was like, I'm going. So I didn't sit in it, but I wanted to go film and see if anything happened. And just, document it. So I went and set up my night vision and sat in there. And while they were doing it, I would walk around the building and try to get readings and stuff. And we had one like really strange thing happen where the one lady that was running the seance, she like started kind of prophesying where she was saying I can see tunnels underground. I can see there's a chamber underground. And she was saying all this.
Whoa.
And she started staring up at the ceiling. And one of the light bulbs in the room just started like glowing this weird orange color. And then off to the right, this like upside down triangle of light like appeared and floated across the room. And then I don't know what it was. It was just like a triangle of light floated across the room and into the wall. And then it just like disappeared. And I like grabbed my night vision and started trying to film everything. And that was it. But it was just like a weird incident where the energy like spiked in the room. And
well, they say we're just made up of light.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is how much do we know? Is that us like tuning into our own potential and tapping into that and manifesting things? Or is it really like some ghost, is it like a spirit coming and doing that,
So you 100% believe in ghosts though?
I don't know. I think I definitely think there's room for it. I think that consciousness is some like an eternal phenomena. I think that we go on and continue to go. So I don't think that we really go anywhere. So the possibility for ghosts and for that kind of eternal parallel dimensions is totally there. As far as like what it is or how much of it is really just us interacting with our own selves in a strange way, that's kind of a deep philosophical rabbit hole. But, it's kind of a paradox to me. I think that there is something to it.
Okay. I love how evidence-based you are, because a lot of guys in your field are just like, oh my gosh, freaking out over like a moving bottle or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. I've been around a lot of groups like that. And to me, like I've gone up and you can do CE5 and everybody starts freaking out and they'll see some light going over and they're like, oh, and they're talking to it almost like they're praying to it and saying, thank you. And I'm on my phone and I'm like, hey, that's the International Space Station going over, by the way. And you can look it up on the app and debunk it. Before you get excited, you can check.
Dude, that happened to me in the hot tub once. I saw that. I was like, that's a UFO.
Yeah. See Starlink go over and you like trip out. But what's cool to me is when you do debunk it, when you do like prove everything that it could have been, and then you still see something or you experience something or something follows you home or weird stuff like that that you can't explain. And that's where it gets interesting to me. Like coincidences line up or string up and something happens that you're like, okay, this is beyond just some kind of like getting caught up in the moment.
Yeah, it can't be explained by logic.
Yeah, I don't even like being in the groups when everybody's all,
freaking out.
Every little shadow that moves, they're like, running around. I like it unscripted.
That's why you're on your own for most of the videos.
Yeah, and a lot of times why I get kicked out of places that I go work. Like I'll go and work at a spot, and after a couple of weeks of being there, they don't want me around because they just want me to market their place. They don't really have anything going on.
Oh, so you spend weeks?
Sometimes.
Damn.
Yeah, like when I go up to Skinwalker Ranch next, I'll be up there for probably like 7 or 8 days.
Holy crap. Yeah, because some people spend a night and then they try to compile all these clickbait footages or whatever.
No, yeah, I try to go unscripted. So I just like film it, and I film it all linear. So I like go through my day from beginning to end. And then I risk it almost being on the edge of being boring to show what it's like for me to go hike around and go out and do it. Yeah. And a lot of times I don't know if I even got anything. Like I'll go to a spot and set up a time lapse and walk away and film up a bunch of stuff. And then when I get home and I'm editing, I'm like, holy crap. Like I look at the time lapse and I'm seeing all kinds of stuff happening on the camera.
Interesting. Have you ever had something follow you home?
Yeah. That's why I have the sensor in my house now.
Got it.
Yeah, it's because of the different stuff that was folling me back. So,
was that from Skinwalker?
Yep.
Damn, that place is really something going on there then.
Yeah, so the first time that I went up there, it was like for 3 days, I had these really intrusive nightmares, like where it was almost like my thoughts were just being attacked. It was just like somebody asking me questions nonstop, like I was being interrogated in my mind and I couldn't make it stop.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, Like I walked in the front door of the house and the smoke alarm started going off above my head.
Damn.
And then as I walked through the house to get the ladder to go up and take the smoke alarm down, everywhere I walked, the smoke alarm would go off above my head.
Holy crap.
And then when I went to the grocery store, like the next day to get groceries after my trip, I went up to the cash register, and the register that I was at and the one in front of me both like went blue screen and like turned off and back on.
Damn.
And the receipts like spooled out, like
No
the
way.
whole roll of
It's like a movie
receipts.
scene.
Yeah, it was like a poltergeist thing. And I like stepped back. I was like, sorry. And she's like, what are you sorry about? Because I like felt like it was me. Like it was some weird thing
Holy
happening.
crap.
But I don't know if it was like your electromagnetic energy just gets like amplified or what. But
Yeah.
it feels like there's something following you around.
I always had a theory that the dream world was linked to the spirit world. So that kind of confirmed my theory right there.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of weird. We have entire rooms in our house that are devoted to like every night going and laying down and kind of like going into like a coma.
Right.
And we drift into this whole alternate state of consciousness, this whole weird dream state. And we spend like a whole third of our life in this reality, like rebooting in this neutral zone. And I don't think there's very many people that actually explore that like a Jedi or like Doctor Strange or something and try to see what's there.
Right.
And when you do, you realize there's a lot there, and that the government has been really fascinated in what's there too.
Do you think they have capabilities of programming you while you're sleeping?
Yeah, I think that not only just intrinsically through the phenomena, I think there's a lot going on there, but I think the government's interest in that, their development with that Tesla technology of tapping in through the electromagnetic field of the earth. I think going clear back into the 1960s, there's evidence that during the Cold War, there was a lot of low ELF radar warfare going on that's still speculative about Havana syndrome and all that, like using the electromagnetic field of the earth to like, just like they would send a signal to your cell phone or your Wi-Fi receiver, they've been trying to see if they can send signals directly to your DNA, the hydrogen bonds between your DNA bands and your brain waves.
Jeez.
Can they give you dreams or make you see things or change your mood or give you diseases? And that's been a whole part of the Cold War going on since the 60s.
That's scary. They're saying 6G can actually penetrate that deep too.
Yeah. The ultra low technology that they were using to try and track submarines under the ocean and all that stuff, they realize can come up through the earth right into your bed when you're sleeping. Right when you're sleeping.
Oh, that is scary. So we got to go off grid in a few years at this rate.
I have different stuff in
You got
my
your
bed.
plans set
I
up.
have a necklace that I wear around my house a lot and that I take to places.
Is that this one?
This one's just has different Native American beads that I've traded with friends and stuff that I
that's
wear.
cool.
But I do have one that has a little electromagnetic pulse that it gives off that I can adjust. It's like emits an aura to neutralize those fields when you walk
I need to start
around.
wearing something like that, man.
You never know.
Yeah, because I'm around radiation all day. So
Yeah.
we all are.
Yeah, you're just swimming through all these invisible, like every single Netflix movie that's pumping through the atmosphere is really going through your body right now. It's just a matter of receiving it,
And we don't even know the long-term damage yet.
Not yet.
Could be pretty detrimental.
And maybe that's where some of these weird phenomena is coming from. We have these generations that are full of lead poisoning and mercury-based fillings in their teeth, and we've all got plastic microparticles in us and everything. And we don't know how that causes us to interface with these invisible frequencies and satellite signals and how that's affecting us, and could attribute to this too. And I'm open to all that. Whatever the explanation is, somebody should be looking at it, because a lot of people are experiencing something.
I think there's a spiritual component to the meat we eat too.
Yeah.
If it's not high quality, I think it kind of hinders you.
Yeah, like when you see like how they'll just feed pigs, like, and they'll just scoop out of the garbage bins and they're eating the plastic trash right in with the food.
Yeah.
And those microplastics are all right in the food that you're eating and get into your body. And like, yeah, my fridge looks like some Frankenstein lab.
Yeah, what do you got in there?
It's like steak and like chicken. It's all grass fed, and
Same,
even the butter. And
no
then,
pork anymore
Like
for me.
pickles, yeah. And
I used to love bacon.
So yeah, I don't have any pork. Nothing.
Yeah, even my meat's grass-fed, grass-finished. Like
No
I
sugar
pay like triple the
anymore.
price. Yeah, no sugar unless it's natural.
I used to weigh 400 pounds.
Holy.
I started meditating and getting into exploring this part of my like spirituality and going to like on hikes to ancient locations. It radically changed my life to where I woke up and pulled out of all of that whole world of processed foods and everything, and lost 175 pounds and completely changed my whole life around.
That's amazing. They say nature's pretty healing, actually.
Yeah, that's really it. Is like getting out and going up and like to me it was about getting out of like everything from organized religion to processed food to even a lot of the friends and lifestyle that I was living with everybody, and going out into these ancient indigenous locations and sometimes taking my shoes and socks off and just grounding myself and sitting there.
Love it. Yeah, you said organized religion. Whenever I meet someone from Utah, I automatically assume Mormon church, right?
Yeah. So I was born and raised Mormon and grew up in Southeast Idaho and raised that through my whole life. So that gave me one whole perspective of there being that whole spirit world and this other dimension of reality, but also in a lot of ways was a real hindrance and kind of put a lot of blinders on for me. That I think once I got out of the religion, I was able to like really tap into my potential and without all of those speed bumps in the way.
So you left.
I did leave.
Wow, that's tough with your family, right?
Yeah, I'm the only one in my family that's left.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, it pretty much ended my marriage and kind of isolated me. I had to kind of start all the way over. But
damn, yeah, I know a few people that have left and it's just screwed up all their personal relationships. That's a tough religion, man.
Yeah, it's very high demand. They don't want it to be like or come off like it is. It's just like a lifestyle. And some people really love it. My brothers really love it, and they would never go without it. And I loved it for a long time until, it just didn't fit with the experiences that I was having. And a lot of those like sleep paralysis, out of body, paranormal things, those were happening even when I was a kid. And the framework that the church was trying to give me to explain that and to solve it was completely ineffective.
I bet.
And it wasn't working for me. It just made me have a complex of guilt and shame, like there was something wrong with me that I had to repent of or get better. But once I was able to get out of all of that, I was able to like be comfortable with who I was outside of that and tap into my ancestry and nature and the universe more directly. And that's when, everything changed. I lost all the weight and, more grounded just in reality and the truth.
Yeah. Why do you think some people get sleep paralysis so much more than others?
I don't know. I'm supposed to go get an MRI done in Reno with some guy from the CIA there.
Oh, yeah? That's going to be interesting.
To kind of maybe find out. But they have this theory that there's something called interference syndrome where there's a part of your brain, the hippocampus and the frontal cortex, that's like sort of wired different, that maybe tunes you different into reality to where you perceive things slightly different. And so, that could literally be some of it. But I'm hesitant for anybody to be like, oh, I'm special, or I'm some chosen one, or I have this gene X or whatever that makes me capable and you're not. I don't really think that's it. I think it's more like if you go and involve yourself in these things, just like an athlete would go and train in something, you tune yourself into that vibe and into that flow and kind of start swimming in those waters, then you get accustomed to that. So I think just going and getting involved in it kind of tunes you into it more.
I definitely agree with that. But on the other hand, there are these psychics that seem to come from generational psychics, like 5th, 6th generation. So there might be something there with genetics.
Every time I've had conversations with people that come out of the government that want to know about me and what I do, one of the first things they ask me is if I have Native American DNA and ancestry. And I'm like 1/32 Creek, and the rest is like Norwegian. But I don't really know. There could be something to the DNA that's just like makes you more amplified or potent to the phenomena. If there is anything to that, it is something ancestral that way.
Native Americans, they didn't teach us that in school, that they were spiritual. They just said we killed them all.
Yeah, they said they were like savages. They're just living out there like they were primitive savages. But my experience with that is they were highly advanced, and they knew the stars, they understood the cosmos and the cycles.
Holy crap!
Like this petroglyph site that I go to all the time in southern Utah, I was just there on the summer solstice, and it's like the one day of the year that they picked when the sun comes up and it shines through this very specific crack in the rocks, and the way the light comes through, the light shines and moves across this panel of petroglyphs, and it tells this whole story of like the shaman going from a villager to becoming like a god, or like time traveling and all of his powers. But it's like their ability to know that on that specific day and time, the light was going to come through to tell the story and then to carve it there, like, and how they did that across the whole cliffside for like a half a mile.
Yeah.
It's as advanced as something like Stonehenge. And these are people that were supposed to just be like Stone Age.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what they taught us, right?
When you go and sit there and you really fathom it, they were smart, just in a different way. They were just connected to the universe different.
That's incredible. It makes you wonder how much of history that we were taught growing up is BS.
Yeah, a lot.
Right?
Yeah, it's all agenda based. Yeah, for whatever agenda that they had. If it was, you know, we got to move west and take that territory over, then it's like, well, we have manifest destiny. God said that it's our chosen land, you know. So then they march on and do it, you know.
Crazy.
It's just, you know, when you look at it though and what's really there and the customs, it's fascinating to me.
Have you seen any like ancient relics or anything on your travels, like ancient statues?
Yeah, I mean, it's common to find where I'm at a lot of just artifacts and things, and sometimes that don't belong. Like you'll find things that do fit, twine and stuff that should be deteriorated and gone from like a moccasin or a sandal that's supposed to be 6,000 years old. You wouldn't expect it to still be there, but you'll find like a corn cob that someone ate the corn off of, and it's sitting there right by like where you can tell where they ate a meal. And like you'll find artifacts, and when you try to wrap your head around like how long ago 6,000 years is, to think that it's been sitting there and not like a single rat or bird or anything is like taking it. And like, you find some of that stuff, it really blows your mind. The pottery, or like I'll find a bone occasionally or an artifact. But really what's cool is when you go up a canyon where nobody really goes, and you turn a random corner and you find ancient carvings, and you'll see stuff that almost looks like a dinosaur, like a carving of people next to animals that are supposed to not exist at the same time as people.
Whoa.
Like I've seen pictographs, which is like pigment paintings that look like people right next to dinosaurs, or even riding on their back, like like the Flintstones.
Holy crap.
And that doesn't make any sense. Like that doesn't fit in our accepted timeline.
Yeah, because we were supposed to come way after dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, so I don't know how that fits, but they're in the same canyons down in southern Utah where there's tons of fossilized dinosaur tracks. You can go out in the desert and see where the big three-toed dinosaurs ran through the mud.
Holy crap, that's cool.
And their footprints are still there, and you can go see them.
Damn,
and
humans might have existed during dinosaurs.
Yeah, but they'll never tell you that. Like in
Never.
the public school or accepted archaeology, they would say, no, you have to like be willing to go out and hike and look around where, or even crawl under a fence where you're not supposed to go sometimes, and then you'll see that stuff.
Damn, that's a shame. Yeah, I think because the education system is so politicized now.
Yeah, and you think about it, like it doesn't make us look good to say, like before white people got to America, there was an indigenous culture here potentially for 50,000 years or longer, or maybe even that would rewrite history itself from where humans originated from, or everything. Like that's very controversial. You know, who was here and who the land belongs to and all that. A lot of these petroglyphs and stuff people consider like property markers, you know, like who was here first.
Right.
And it's way more convenient just to build a subdivision over top and not talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
you ever see a dinosaur fossil?
Yeah, the tracks, you know, I haven't actually found any fossils like the bones itself.
Yeah.
But I've totally like been in a spot that was totally random and found the footprints. Even a spot where you can see the footprints and then what looks like the whole belly and a tail, like a giant alligator laid in the mud, and you can even see the scales on the belly and the tail.
Damn, you got to dig there. You got to hire a team.
Yeah.
You could probably sell that thing for a ton of money.
There's a Zion glamping, like a camp spot right there. Like where people go, like a resort. Yeah.
Oh, so they make that like an attraction?
Kind of. Yeah. It's funny. I geek out every time. I'm like, I can't believe you don't have this like a whole thing.
Yeah, that's so
you
cool.
know, but
any sightings of Bigfoot?
Yeah, several years ago, I was in Northern California, and it was like a classic Bigfoot encounter where it was like a giant shadow figure thing came up through the trees in the middle of the night, and it was like making a ton of noise and coming up through the bushes, and it left these big tracks in the dirt. We were able to pour plaster in and get the plaster castings of the footprints out.
Wow.
But like I didn't see the face or the actual, it just looked like a giant shadow thing. And the way that it moved was like not like an animal. It was like it moved up like a giant troll thing, like the boogeyman.
Wow.
It was super scary. But then when it turned around and like moved back through the trees, it was like it glided, like it was like a
Interesting.
like a giant black trash bag floating through, it was very like a ghost, So I don't know what that was.
Yeah, there's a theory that they could kind of hop dimensions, right?
Yeah, I mean, and maybe like this idea of Bigfoot and like skinwalkers and the shadow figures is all kind of one thing. With just different cultures have different names for,
Right.
But the encounters are very similar, My encounters, like what I saw at Skinwalker Ranch, was very similar, but it was more like crouched and crawling across the ground and then went into the ground and disappeared. Wow. But in Northern California, it was like standing up and walking like a man.
Holy crap.
It was like tall.
So it's all perspective, man. Maybe everyone sees it differently or interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
But a lot of people don't actually go. They sit and watch at home and they see on TV and they go, that's fake or whatever.
Yeah.
And, that was my attitude. But then you go for real, you take the equipment and you actually have an encounter and you go home questioning your whole reality.
Right. I would highly recommend people just try it on their own before they speak out against it.
Travel and go look for yourself.
Yeah. Because if you still feel like that way after, then that's more respect to you. Because at least you put yourself in that situation.
Yeah, like I went up there for the Bigfoot thing like it was a joke. We were up there just filming a documentary, like a retelling of a story. And the first night up there, we had the whole encounter. Half of the crew freaked out and like left.
Holy crap.
And then the rest of the trip up there, it shook me. And like after I got home, I was legit scared to go up in the mountains for a while. I was like, I don't know. Like it really, I was still Mormon back then. It was like, it totally bit me. Like I was like, I don't know what that was. Like,
it doesn't seem to be vicious or like attack anyone from the reports I've read.
No, if it wanted to kill us, it easily could have.
Right.
I mean, even if it was a bear, if it wanted to, it totally could have.
Yeah.
It walked right up and watched us and turned around and walked away.
Probably thinks we're so primitive.
Yeah.
Like ants.
Yeah. It sent the message, whatever. Like
Telepathy too. It probably has a lot of these high intelligent beings. That's how they talk, right?
I definitely hear those stories. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, Carl, it's been fun. What are your next trips and any documentaries coming out or videos?
Yeah, I post all the time on my YouTube channel. Everything I go by Carl Crusher. My real last name is Andresen, but nobody can spell that right. So I just go by Carl Crusher. But yeah, I post like twice a week on my YouTube and on my Patreon. Going up to Skinwalker Ranch again, spending a week up there. And then after that, this September, I might go to Norway where the Project Blue Book left off. They had the Hesselen Lights project over there where J. Allen Hynek used to do most of his research. His son, Paul Hynek, is a friend of mine, and the current Hesselen Lights team has invited me to come over there.
Wow.
So this fall, I might go over there and try to film a whole project of that trip too.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah,
I want to know more about those lights. Those are fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we'll link all your stuff below. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I will see you tomorrow.